Hello, I am Devashish. Welcome to my channel D-BIOLIFE. I hope all you are doing well and staying healthy. Okay, so let's start. So at first, look at my hand. Okay, so if any kind of cut region will be appear in this particular region by any kind of sharp object, so what will occur? So if cut region will be appear, then from the cut site or from the wounding site, blood will be released. Okay, now if we notice for certain time at this cutting end, then we have seen that blood will be stopped after a certain time, or you can say that the blood does not release for a long time. Okay, now question arises, why from the cutting end or wounding site after a certain time, why the release of the blood will be stopped? Why and how? Because the answer is blood clotting or blood coagulation. Okay, so due to the blood clotting or the blood coagulation from the cutting end of on my hand, the blood release will be stopped. The release of blood will be stopped. Okay, so now we have to understand that what is the meaning of blood clotting or blood coagulation. So this is basically a process. We can say the blood clotting or the blood coagulation is nothing but a process. Okay, to prevent the release of the blood from the cut or wounding region. Okay, so now this blood clotting or coagulation, this is a process. So this process comprises three steps. Okay, this process comprises three steps. Okay, so this process comprises three steps. Okay, so today this video contain only the first step. Okay, for better understanding purpose, and on the next video I will make the remaining two steps. Okay, on the next video. So now let's start the first step. So blood coagulation, first step. So what will be the scenario during the first step of the blood coagulation or blood clotting process? So if we consider the first step, or if we look into the first step of the blood clotting or the blood coagulation process, then we have seen such kind of mechanism. Like we all are know that our blood contains three type of cell. One is known as the RBC, red blood cell, another is known as the WBC, white blood cell, and another is known as the platelets. So within the injury side or within the cut side, platelets disintegrate. Okay, disintegrate. Okay, platelets disintegrate. So now from this release some kind of substance. This is known as the phospholipid. This is known as the phospholipid, and this is called as platelet factor 3, or we can say that this is known as the thromboplastin. This is known as the thromboplastin. Okay, so the cutting end, from the cutting end or from the wounding site or cut site, platelet disintegrate, and from this release phospholipid, or we can say that the platelet factor 3 or thromboplastin. Okay, and from the injury tissue, from the injury tissue, from the injury tissue, release lipoprotein factor. Lipoprotein factor. Okay, lipoprotein factor. So this is very, very important. Okay. Sorry. So lipoprotein factor. Okay. So this factor is also known as thromboplastin. Okay. So now these two factors, these two clotting factor combine with calcium ion. Okay. So which to these elements? So one is known as the platelet factor 3, platelet factor 3, and another factor is known as the lipoprotein factor. Lipoprotein factor. So these two factors are combined with calcium ion. So combined with calcium ion means Ca2 plus ion. Okay. So these two factors, one is known as the platelet factor 3 and another is known as the lipoprotein factor. These two factors are combined with the calcium ion and also combined with blood plasma protein. Blood plasma protein. Okay. So these two clotting factor, which one is known as the platelet factor 3 and another is known as the lipoprotein factor. These two protein factor combined with calcium ion and also blood plasma protein to form an enzyme. Form an enzyme. Okay. So form an enzyme. So what is the name of the enzyme? This enzyme is known as the prothrombinase. Thrombinase. Prothrombinase. So this enzyme is known as the prothrombinase. Okay. So this is the first step of the blood clotting or blood coagulation process. So at first, at the cutting site or the injury site or the wounding site, platelet disintegrate and from these phospholipid will be released, which is also known as the platelet factor 3 or the thromboplastin, and from the injury tissue also release. So here release. So here also release. So here also release lipoprotein factor, okay, which is also known as the thromboplastin. So these two factors like platelet factor 3 and the lipoprotein factor combine with the calcium ion and along with calcium ion another factor or another element that is known as the blood plasma protein and to form an enzyme called prothrombinase. Prothrombinase. So these are the overall scenario of the first step of the blood coagulation or blood clotting process. So if this video is useful, you think this video is useful for you, so like, comment, share, subscribe. See you on the next video. Remaining two parts, I will be make those videos on the next part. So see you on the next video. Thank you and goodbye.